Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this very special Saturday afternoon special Nat Geo Kids show. That is the African hoopoe. My name is James Hendry, and there's a very good reason we started with the African hoopoe. That is because it is birding big day, and that means we're trying to spot as many birds as we possibly can. If you would like to ask any questions, you can ask your parents to send us an email on natgeokids@wildearth.tv. That's natgeokids@wildearth.tv. Let's go back to the hoop hoop. Now, this is a bird that has a name that is onomatopoeic. That means its name sounds like its call. And this bird goes whoop whoop, whoop whoop, whoop whoop. And so it's called a hoopoo, which I think is quite fun, don't you? A hoopoo. And we're going to try and find as many birds as we can, and we're going to try and catch more birds on screen than our friends up in the Masai Mara. There you say it's a big day. Well, yes, it's a pretty normal day except for the birds. Birding big day it is. Number one, the African whoop whoop. Righty, the other one we can find that might sound a little bit like that is, of course, the African cuckoo, which sounds like a hoopoo that's just woken up. Instead of going boop boop, it goes whoop 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 whoop. Alrighty, let's go up to the Masai Mara, where a very special friend of mine, whose name is the Vov, is waiting to show you, no doubt, some birds, but also the wonders of the Masai Mara in Kenya.
Welcome all the way up to the Mara Triangle. We're just trying to find a little bird for you. Good afternoon, my name is Steve. I'm joined on camera by Bongay, and indeed it is a birding challenge between Juma and the Mara, and we're going to see if we can find a few birds for you this afternoon. It is a very, very nice afternoon for birding, and there we have got a greater blue-eared starling. Oopsie, there he goes. They're very intelligent birds, and apparently they can actually, a lot of them can learn how to kind of speak in a way, which is very, very interesting. And one more bird has just landed in front of us, just on the bush, directly at 12 o'clock there, Bongay. It is called a grey-backed shrike. And both of these birds are loving themselves because, well, it has been a bit of rainfall the last few days. And what happens with the rain is the rain does all sorts of things in the soil, and lots of insects decide to breed, and lots of insects also decide to hatch after the rainfall. So a lot of these birds are very excited about the insects that are going to come out of the ground. All sorts of things, caterpillars, termites, beetles, plenty of little flying mosquito-like midges all over the place. There are insects. You probably can't see it around my head, but there's lots and lots of little flying critters that are, oh, Bongo, another one to the right of me here at 1 o'clock. Just on the bush there is a little bee-eater. There we go. There's another one. That's a very cool bird. That one specializes in catching insects on the wing. See if you can look around the bee-eater. There's lots of little things flying, and it's busy trying to find one, and it'll launch off of the perch, catch it, and land back. Oh, isn't that amazing? They call that behavior hawking, because if you think about a hawk, if you went hunting, they used to, and they still do, but it used to be a very common thing. People would have a hawk on their wrist, and they would let the hawk go. The hawk would go and catch some food, be it a bird or a scrub hare or something, and then it would come back and land on the owner's arm. And so that behavior that the bee-eater is doing is called hawking. And, well, the name bee-eater is because they really enjoy. Can you see on the lens how many insects there are? There's the shrike again. That bee-eater is called a bee-eater because, well, yes, indeed, they like bees. But not just bees, anything that is flying, that's small enough. And the shrike, well, that will feed on any insect, will even catch small lizards and even small frogs. You can see he's also looking around at all of the insects that are flapping around his head. And another one at 9 o'clock, Bungay, just in the tree over here. We've got another beautiful bird. It is one of the dove species that we find in the Mara. We also find it in Juma, just there on the branch. It's busy cleaning himself. It looks to be a turtle dove. Cape turtle dove, also known as the ring-necked dove. Very common all over Africa, and all these guys don't feed on insects like the other ones do. They feed on seeds, grass seeds to be specific, and they walk around and they pluck them off of the ground. And very, very cool birds, because you find them everywhere. They must be very, very successful. Probably one of the most common birds you find around. Ooh, one more bird in the road is having a little bit of a dust bath. Look in the road here. Sorry, Emma, there's just one more behavioral trait I'd like to show the kids about a bird in the road that's doing something called a dust bath. And you saw that, oh, he's jumping around. What is he? I can't quite make him out. But that dove, you could see, was busy playing with his feathers, with his beak. Quite often the birds will take oil to clean their feathers, and when they get too much oil on their feathers, well, they like to roll in the dust to collect and pick up some of that oil and take it off of their feathers. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed those few birds. We're going to see if we can find more, and lots more of other birds to come. But in the meantime, James has found some very big animals in Juma.
We have got some bigger animals, some elephants, 3 elephants, a very small herd of elephants. I'm just going to get into a nice position, try not to break my back as we drive through holes. There we go. This is probably a mother and 2 youngsters. Sometimes they're in these small herds. Quite often there are a few others somewhere scattered around, and in fact there is another one just over the top of these 3. There we go. They're breaking sticks and finding nice things to eat. Well, I don't know how nice the things to eat they're finding are, but they're eating a lot of sticks because still the rains have not come yet, and so the grass is very dry. I think that they're going towards a waterhole, and I think we're definitely going to follow them all the way there, and hopefully we'll see some other birds on the way for birding big day. Apparently you're all quite excited to see some bigger animals rather than just birds for a while. Well, that's good, that's fine, that's no problem. But hopefully there'll be some birds around here. All right, let's move a bit, I think. Try and get a little bit closer, perhaps around the front of these very special elephants, so we can look them in the eye as opposed to look at their bottoms. Yes, Charles, that's a very good point. We might find a forked-tailed drongo with the ellies. We're just quickly going to do the red-billed hornbill over there. Red-billed hornbill, number 2 for the afternoon. Red-billed hornbill. And on we go. Going to get around these guys. I see. Unfortunately, we're not going to stay with these elephants because the rules of Big Birding Day mean we have to go to Steve if he finds a bird. So we'll go across to him now.
Yes, well, we found some more birds for you boys and girls. And this is probably one of the most interesting birds that we find around. It is a mouse bird called a speckled, or actually a white-headed mouse bird. My mistake. But you've probably all seen birds' feet in your life. And a lot of birds, their feet either have 3 toes forward with 1 back, or 2 forward and 2 back, or some of them can have 4 forward. Now this bird has got a very interesting ability to do all of that. They can put all 4 forward, they can put 2 forward, 2 back, they can put 3 forward, 1 back. It's very specialized, allows them to hold on to the tree, allows them to walk on the ground, allows them to climb into trees and also sleep quite nicely, and obviously they also to scratch their face, hop around. Look at that, white-headed mouse bird, got a long tail like a mouse. And a white head, of course, and, well, they prefer to eat fruits and flowers. You can see there's some flowers there in the tree, and it's going to hop around in there, get right inside like a mouse would do, and their feet allow them to move around quite nicely in thick bushes like that, which is very, very interesting. It's the only family of birds that I know of that's able to change their toes on their feet. Can you imagine doing that? Very, very interesting. Change your toes. Move in different directions. Yes, it does remind you, MDR, of a cardinal. We've actually got a woodpecker that's got a cap like that, and that would remind you of a cardinal as well. Well, you might see a vehicle go past. We're not the only ones here in the Mara Triangle. It is a reserve with lots of people coming and going, and they're able to move in and out, obviously with guides sometimes on their own. And they're all here to see the wonderful animals, the wonderful bird life as well. And that is what we're hoping to show you more of this afternoon. Well, please don't forget to send through any questions you might have with your parents on Wild Earth Kids at Nat Geo Kids at wildearth.tv. We'd love to hear from you. I wonder if any of you are very interested in birds. What did you see there? Oh, look at that. There is a woodpecker. There's a woodpecker. We were just talking about woodpeckers, and that woodpecker has 2 toes forward and 2 toes back, and they peck on the wood, and their beaks are very specially adapted to dig into the wood itself to feed on little beetle larvae and things that are hiding in there. Very, very specialized. One of the most specialized feeders that you have in the bird kingdom, because they're able to peck into the wood. Can you imagine taking your head and smashing it against a tree? I don't think I could do that. That would be very, very, very painful. But very characteristic red on the top of their head. And I didn't quite get a proper identification of it though. It kind of looked like a speckled, but I'm not 100% sure. Off it has flown. And very interesting, because they create, when they dig into the tree with their beaks, oh, there goes a white-browed kukul. That is another bird that's walking around on the ground, and they like to feed on insects. They will feed on baby birds as well in their nests, and it is part of the family of birds that we call the rainbird. The reason why it's called the rainbird is it's got this very sort of water-like call, and often when they call, we think that they basically they bring the rain. There it is, one fast look. You can see it on the ground, and we're going to go all the way back down to James, who's getting a better view of his elephants.
We do have a better view of the ellies, and in fact this elephant herd seems to be much larger than we thought it was originally. There are quite a few coming towards us. In fact, there's a very little one walking just to the right-hand side now. Look at that. Isn't that special? He's not vaguely afraid of us, probably about 3 or 4 years old. And then there's another one, another little one on its way towards us. And I definitely think suddenly the matriarch has given the command for all of them to go off towards the water. And the matriarch is the biggest or oldest female in the herd, and she will lead the herd. She tells them where to go and when to go there. Here comes a big mother elephant there with her baby. Very large animals, and very impressive to see so close by. They can give you a bit of a fright because they are so very big, so much bigger than you imagine even. I'm hoping that mother will bring her very little baby close to us. That baby's probably about a year old. See, he's got an itchy ear now. He's just giving it a bit of a scratch. And she's coming towards us now. Flapping her ears up and down because it is quite hot today, about 31 degrees Celsius. Which I think is just over 80 degrees Fahrenheit. No, it's more than that. It's about 85 degrees Fahrenheit or so. Just going to lower my voice a little bit as this big cow walks past us. I don't think that's actually the mother of the little one. She's huge. I think this one here is the mother. No, it's not. That's a young bull. So that is the mother in front, and this is a young bull who's playing with the little one. Yeah, the little one's also a young bull. That's very sweet. See how slowly they walk? They've got such a careful, stately way of walking. Come, let's move on. Let's follow them. We don't want to make too much noise behind them. We might just go around onto the road. Yeah, Barbara is very cute with its itchy ear. I'm just quickly going to ask Seb to get us the Burchell starling over there. Burchell's starling, only number 3 that we have, but there it is, the Burchell starling. Very good. Let us continue. So we must keep trying to find birds. I know Steve's doing a lot better than us at the moment. I'll show you something interesting up here. You can see a big hole in the tree there, and I suspect that the starlings are actually nesting in that hole there. Down a bit, to the right. It's right just above us. No, just above us here.
Oh, where? Sorry?
Here.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yes, there we go. Sebastian, who's on camera today, has found us the hole. There it is. Well done, Sebastian. Now, that was probably dug by a woodpecker, but most likely, woodpecker, but most likely now occupied by those starlings. They're making a big noise around here, and of course we are now in the breeding time for these special birds. I did hear another bird, but I can't hear it anymore. Let's keep going. Oh my goodness gracious me, we're going to continue following the elephants. I believe the Vov has managed to find himself yet another bird, which makes me very jealous indeed.
Help myself, there are so many pretty birds here, and this one has got such a wonderful name. It's called a superb starling. And, well, we saw that first starling, that very blue, bright blue bird. And, well, what's interesting about them is the woodpecker that you saw is one of the birds responsible for making holes in the tree that then birds like these live inside and nest. They have their babies inside the nest. Isn't that fantastic? So it is the woodpecker that creates the hole, and then the starlings and many other birds come along and use the hole for a little home for themselves. And if you didn't get a proper view of it here, I've got a nice picture for you on the dashboard. And it's one of the prettiest and most colourful starlings you'll get. Here we go. I've got it on my phone. Look at the beautiful colours there. He's got a white rump underneath. There's white over there. He's got orange, brown underneath, beautiful green on the wing, and blue on the top with a very nice white stripe and a very white eye. Isn't that awesome? So a starling, and look at his feet. I was talking about feet before. We've got 3 toes forward and 1 back. A lot of birds have got that speciality. That's how their feet work. It allows them to sit on a branch, very much like most birds you might think of. They can sit in the tree and they can fall asleep, but they can't change these toes like that bird we were talking about. They can. The mouse birds can change their toes, and once again, a woodpecker, pair of them have landed on the tree there. There's 2 of them. They're going to peck, peck, peck. Let's see if we can get a proper look at them this time. See if they can peck for us. Very good. Look at them holding on there. Very powerful toes. And they are listening. They move their heads from left to right. and off they go. They listen into the wood to see if they can hear any insects inside, and then they'll peck, 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 and then open the wood up itself, and then with a very long tongue, a tongue that goes all the way back over their brain, and then goes out and catches the insect. Wow. Alan, there are a lot of birds in the Mara itself. I'm trying to think offhand how many species. I'm not 100% sure, but in Kenya, in East Africa, there's about 1,200 species of bird. So it's a lot. It's a lot of birds. I don't have a book specifically for the Mara, though, so I couldn't tell you exactly how many birds occur here. There is one of the very... Oh, he's gone. That was a yellow-throated longclaw. And they love to hide in the long grass. He's hiding from us now. We find them all over the place. He might come out again. He's got a very nice, very nice whistling call. And he's beautiful, but he's hiding right now. And there goes some parrots. There's everything. The birds. I love birds. Well, when you spend time out here in nature, sometimes all it is that you can see is the birds. But sometimes when you're out in the wilderness, you're lucky enough to come across very, very big elephants.
Here we are still with our elephants, and they're coming down towards the waterhole. We've moved round onto a road to make things a little easier for us, and so that we don't have to make a noise when we're driving towards them. Now Laura has sent us a question about tusks and how big they can get. Well, Laura, they can get much, much bigger than the elephants here, we can see. Some of the big bulls have got tusks that would reach the ground. They're so heavy. I can't remember exactly what the heaviest tusk ever found was, but I think it's about 130 pounds or so. So that's a huge, huge tusk. 130 pounds. These guys ought to have got pretty small tusks. And you know, one of the reasons for that is that in the 1800s, what happened was that a lot of hunters came into this area and they shot most of the big tusked elephants because they wanted to take their tusks to sell them. And that means that the genes or the big tusked elephants just don't occur as often as they used to. Although there's a very healthy population of elephants in this area, they just don't occur with the big tusks like they used to. See, those are quite small. Still very useful though. And in fact, for an elephant, for practical purposes, small tusks are probably better than big ones. And that's because big tusks are very difficult to use if you're trying to scrape bark off trees or dig roots. Whereas these little tusks can be very easy to use. I think they probably also break much less frequently than really long tusks. But it would be great to see a nice big tusker elephant, as we call them, with tusks that nearly touch the ground. And you can hear them chewing away on their sticks and their leaves. They would very much like to be eating grass at this stage, but like I said, the rains just haven't come yet, and so we haven't got enough grass for them to eat, so they're still eating what they would in winter time, which are sticks and roots and leaves and pods if they can find them. Now we have to find some more birds. We've only got 3 so far. Angie, I don't know if elephants' ears feel like rubber. I've not often had the privilege of going over to an elephant and saying, "May I feel your ears, sir?" Because normally if you do that, they either run away or they stomp on you, neither of which is great fun. So it's very difficult to tell. I think they probably feel like leather, really, rather than like rubber. So they are very thick animal skin, so I think they probably feel like leather, like a belt, a good belt. They're totally silent. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, at least 14 elephants in this little group, and you can hardly hear them. If you put 14 people in that block and ask them to walk through silently, it would be completely impossible for them. Human beings make a lot more noise than elephants, if you can believe it. And one of the reasons for that is that elephants have got soft underfeet. Their feet are quite soft, which means they don't walk like we do, going thump, thump, thump. And it's funny, you think you're walking quietly until you actually listen to yourself, until you carefully listen, until you want to be quiet while you're walking, and then you realize how loud we as human beings are. So they're going off across the water. They have two options now. There are two waterholes quite close to where we are, and I'm not sure which one they're going to take. They seem to be heading directly in between the two. But they definitely seem to be very thirsty, because they're now starting to move with a great speed towards the water. All right, I think let's go round and see if we can't get a better view of them coming down. You can see that one there ain't looking so good, a little bit thin.
Yeah, right.
And maybe in need of some good summer forage, which there isn't much of at the moment. All right, I believe the Wolf has found yet another bird. We have got nothing. We're going to do our best to find another bird while we move around to find the elephants again.
Thanks, James. Well, very important to pay attention to the birds that we have out here. This one is going to come and land again. It's called a lilac-breasted... Oh, it's gone. Lilac-breasted roller is, in fact, the national bird of Kenya. So it is the bird of the country we're in right now, which is very special. And what is interesting about them is in South Africa, they are the most photographed bird around. And I'll show you now why. I've got a picture of him, because they are so beautiful in color. Let me show you a beautiful picture of this bird. If I can just get him for you on the screen. Look at that. Isn't that just the prettiest bird you've ever seen? Oopsie. So many colors. So many colors. It looks like someone has gone and taken a black and white drawing and drawn in with the most random colored crayons they could possibly find. And the reason why I wanted to show you this bird as well, apart from it being the national bird of Kenya as well as Botswana, is it also lives in cavities in trees. And we were seeing it now having a fight with some of those starlings we saw before. They not only need to both share or use holes in the trees, they will fight each other for them, and they also feed on very similar food, and that is insects once again. So these birds have lots of rivalry with the other starlings. And it is so important for all the woodpeckers to be in and around this environment to create those holes in the trees. But James is with elephants down in South Africa, and well, the elephants are important because they damage the trees and they cause insects to get inside, and that's what the woodpeckers are looking for. And well, that is how the whole story begins. The elephants make the damage. The woodpecker or the beetles lay their eggs inside. The beetle larvae hatch. The woodpecker comes and pop, 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 pop. And then all of these other birds have somewhere to nest. Isn't that fantastic? I think it's incredible how many birds are dependent on. And we're starting with James's elephant. Very interesting. Very, very interesting how it all connects, boys and girls. None of this is separate. When we see this grass here or that tree there or that bird, they all have something that crosses over. Be it food, be it the air, be it whatever it might be, they all connected in some way. Nothing is on its own. Here we go. He's here again, sitting nicely for us on the tree. So you can actually see him in the real life now, just at 8 o'clock. There we go. There is the lilac-breasted roller. Take a photo. And on that note, James's elephants seem to be very thirsty.
Now they've arrived at the water, and they're all having a good drink. A huge herd. Let's count them again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I think I'm right. I think they're just 14. Oh, and there's the old one that I said wasn't looking so good coming up behind. There are 15 of them. Isn't that nice? Very special. So you'll see we have two cameras operating now. One of them is a fixed camera called the dam cam, because it's fixed at the dam, and it's helping us get a sort of wider view of what's going on here. Now elephants, unlike quite a few animals, including many of the predators, really like to have clean water. Lions and leopards, they don't really mind. They're very happy to drink dirty water, but elephants are very fussy. And so they like to have this good clean water. Charles, that's a good question. The bones of an elephant foot. Trying to think if I know what the bones of an elephant's foot look like. Basically, they've got all the same bones that you have in your foot, just some of them are fused together. In other words, they've been stuck together over time, and they I'll tell you what, I'm going to try and find you a picture. I think I actually have a picture here of what an elephant's foot looks like internally, so I'll try and quickly find that for you while you enjoy them drinking there. Still haven't managed to find any real birds. Oh, we've got some Egyptian geese. That's quite nice. Let me see if I've got a picture here of an elephant's foot. I seem to remember that I might. Elephant. No, not an elephant shrew. Elephants. No. I don't think that I do, I'm afraid, have a picture of an elephant's foot. But basically, the pictures of the feet, let's do the geese quickly if you don't mind, Seb. We've got the gooses over there. We'll just quickly get them on camera so we can tick them off. Those are the Egyptian geese. There we go. We can go back to the elephants now. But I think the elephant's foot is basically a thick pad, bony pad, and into the middle of it you will find the digits. So the fingers, or the bones of the fingers, some of which may be fused to each other, and that's what bears the weight of the elephant. I know that's not a very good description. You really need kind of a picture diagram to be able to understand what the foot or the inside of an elephant's foot looks like. So I'm sorry, I can't do better than that. Yes, Kimberly, I think the elephants are really glad themselves that they have water. It's a tough time for all the animals, you know. Not easy. And so for them to have water here is great. Now this water is pumped, so we've sunk a borehole or well close here, and the elephants are drinking from that water. It's a lovely peaceful scene too. You can see that they're just happy to be here. They're happy to have a nice drink. They're relieved. It's been a dry day, dusty, not too hot. In fact, for this time of the year, it's actually quite cool. But there you can see one just throwing some water on herself. And some mud. That's quite one side and then the other side. They love to throw mud on themselves, especially on a hot day. Yes, Sam, exactly. Perfect day to enjoy a swim, and that's what these elephants are doing. Really enjoying a good swim. And a mud bath. They love mud. elephants almost as much as hippos love mud and buffalo. And of course, for many animals out here, mud is the best possible way for them to cool down. Without mud, they'd get very hot indeed. This is great. Very special. Now, what they don't realize they're doing, of course, is making the water very muddy if they want to have another drink.
So these two playing there on the left.
And they're two having a play there, yeah. Two bulls, probably giving each other a little wrestle. You know, like I'm sure a lot of you like to push each other around in the water. Bob, I missed that, I'm afraid. Something about a cannonball. Yes, wait until one of them cannonballs. That will be quite something to see, won't it? This is just great. Now that wrinkly skin is quite clever, because what it does is that it will keep a lot of this moisture on the skin of the elephant, which means that it will stay quite cool, which is quite nice. You can see that very wrinkly skin. Did you see how everyone went silent there? That's because I suspect the matriarch is talking to them. They speak in a very, very low tone. That we can't actually hear. So they all suddenly stopped and they listened, and then one or two carried on drinking or spraying mud. This is a very peaceful, lovely scene on a warm afternoon. It's a great thing to be able to enjoy, isn't it? Well, at the moment, yes, MDR, I agree with you. The elephants are radiating calm. They don't always. Sometimes they radiate absolute terror. But that's when they're coming rushing towards you, which thankfully these chaps aren't. Those two are not very calm. Two bulls having a bit of a fight with each other. And quite interesting interaction going on here. There's an old cow, not so old, in fact she's quite young, for a mother, and she's just pushing these youngsters out the way. It's a bit more conversation now. I can hear the rumbling sound. And these youngsters are looking at us because they think they're very tough and strong, you see. Tutti, sometimes it's obvious who the leader is. It's normally just the oldest cow. But sometimes it can be a younger cow. Look at this. This is very sweet. Now these two young bulls will wrestle just like the other two are. They're a bit younger though. They're probably about 10. It is amazing to watch them, it really is. They so enjoy talking to each other, they are so social. They have such a complicated social structure. And I think that's what makes them so entertaining to watch. This little bull's coming closer and closer. Hi. Here he comes. Now you see, this is a completely wild elephant. He's not at all tame. but he's very relaxed around us. He's not worried about us. He's not intimidated by us, and so he won't react in an aggressive way to us. See, now I think what's happened is the matriarch has decided to take them away now. She's given the command, a low ultrasonic rumble. Now we've got a very nice surprise for you. We've got David Gatamba Gitu has managed to find his way out of camp, fix his camera, and he's ready to say hello.
Well, boys and girls, finally you are with me and all the elephants and all other nice animals you've been seeing. I thought I'll show you something different from all the other people. And we got the tallest animal in the world, and that is a giraffe. I might request you to watch how that giraffe is walking with two legs of one side at the same time, and we call that ambling, 2 and 2. How nice is that, just to see this tall animal moving his two legs that are also very tall, like his neck. And my name is David, and I'm filming this morning, or this afternoon rather, morning or afternoon, with Manu. Right, Manu? So boys and girls, thank you for the questions you've been sending. Don't be shy, continue doing the same as we show you another giraffe coming in the front there. You see the giraffe? Giraffes will always go in groups, either 2 or 3 or 5 or 10, and she just stops there and look. We got different types of giraffes in Africa. This particular one is called the Masai giraffe. And apart from the body pattern, that will be different from one type or one species to the other, everything else remains the same. Sam, that's a very nice comment that you always like watching or seeing giraffes, and there they are. Look at how majestic she is as she walks. And I'll say she because if you look on top of her head, she seems like she got some hair on top of her horns. These horns, sometimes we call them ossicons, but if it was a male, it would be flat. Thank you, Manu, for showing the kids that. You see, on the top of the horn, she got like outgrown hair. That's only on the females. But if it was a male, it would be flat, because males sometimes use their horns to fight each other, and for that reason they get flat and that hair wears out. I think she's having a poop. You see the tail is up. She will stop, and you'll see when she drops her poop, they're very small pellets. She got very good manners. She stops to poo. Thank you, giraffe. And you can see how tall she is as you look in the background there, all the way to the horizon. Very tall animals, again as I said, moving two legs of one side at the same time. Giraffe Girl, always a pleasure to hear that name, Giraffe Girl. What a beauty, and I agree with you 100%. And very majestic, walking in the savannah of the Mara Triangle. So those patterns you see there are what will be different from the other giraffe. If you look at her mouth, the mouth looks very big because giraffe have to accommodate their long tongues. They got very long tongues, and they have the long tongues so that they can reach the very top leaves or branches. Look at her tail, and you can see the fur that she got on the tail, very long, and they'll always keep flicking or moving their tail like that if they are comfortable and they're happy, or sometimes if they have any flies, they'll need to get them off their body. Sometimes we'll see some birds on top of them who will have, or some birds that will be getting some bugs out of their bodies. Well, boys and girls, let me take you back to Steve and find out what he got for you.
Funny call. Thanks, David. We have found a very camouflaged bird. It is the female of the black-bellied bustard. And not all birds we were talking about live in nests in trees. This one, in fact, lives on the ground. Can you see how camouflaged it is? I know it's moving around. It's busy plucking off the grass seeds, but it's very camouflaged. And, well, they nest on the floor. They spend their entire life on the floor, and they do fly, but they basically spend most of their time walking around, feeding on the necessary food. But very camouflaged from the sky because, well, they are prone to being caught by eagles. And they've got a very interesting call. Just have a listen while Bungay keeps his camera on it. Have a listen to this funny call that it makes. Isn't that strange, eh? That is the sound that the male makes, and to attract the females. And, well, it is a very interesting call. He puts his head up and he does this popping sound, and then very, very interesting. But not land areas were here before the trees were, most likely, in some places that is, and so very different design for these birds. Okay, well, we seem to be struggling with a little bit of our internet, but it's not only birds that enjoy the trees. Down in Juma, James has got a cat who loves to be in the tree.
Now we've got a very special treat for everybody. This is Hosanna, the male leopard. He is almost 3 years old. He'll be 3 in February. And he's sitting here. Oh, he's got a little bit of a sneeze going on. We are, of course, going into the pollen season, and I don't think it's very comfortable up there. And so he may well come down. Now, he likes this tree because he can use it as a pantry. He puts his food up in the tree. And then he tries to sleep there, and then he gets a bit uncomfortable, so I think he'll come down. He might go for a drink, or he might start to eat again, but we won't be able to see what he's eating because it's behind the leaves. Now hiding from us, so I'm not sure exactly what he's doing. There is another vehicle with us, that's why you can hear a car starting. Alright, I'm not sure we'll get another view of him, unfortunately, so we'll probably carry on and see if we can find the buffalo. While we do that, David Gatambagitu is driving around, trying desperately to find some birds and other interesting creatures that he might find in the Masai Mara. And now I'm going to stop talking.
Well, boys and girls, welcome back. And I have big plans today, and my plans today are to look for lions somewhere. And I may apologize because I did not start the show with my other friends. There was some technical issues I was trying to fix, and I'm all sorted. And my main plan today is possibly to get all of you, boys and girls, some lions. Let me see if we can get this bird. Man, if you think it's not worth it, you'll tell me to keep going. But I just saw a bird. Go back, please go back. What are you doing up there? The man is following the same bird, or maybe go to a different tree. Thank you very much. And we call that bird the lilac-breasted roller. What are you doing? She was trying to catch something for herself, and she got an insect in flight. Will you believe that? That is what you might call a kill. They'd either catch a butterfly or any other insect that could be flying. And she's going back to the original tree. Are they two or is it one? They should be two now. I think you can hear them calling. I hope, boys, you can hear that. And that was a male and a female. And this is my favorite bird, boys and girls. It's called the lilac-breasted roller. You can see the lilac on the breast. And I'm saying it's my favorite because it's one bird that I know that has very many colors. You might correct me. I think this one has the most. national bird of Kenya. They'll always fly sometimes and catch an insect, or they'll stay on top of that tree, and that tree she's on is called a torchwood tree, and then maybe fly down, catch something for herself, and then fly right back and eat it. If, for example, it is a beetle that got a skeleton that she'll need to crush it, she's back to the same tree. So you see how efficient she is. Stuck in her throat. Very clever bird. Then she'll stay there, spend a few seconds or minutes, and keep looking. And maybe she is going to see another insect and she'll go to it and catch it. But again, I'll take you back to Steve because he might be having a reptile.
Yes, well, look at this. We have got I think it's a terrapin, which is basically a freshwater tortoise that is busy digging in the ground. You can see it's got nails on the back of its feet. It's actually busy digging in the road. And what it's probably doing is, after we had some rain last night, the road in the area is very soft, and it's going to dig to a certain depth. Very, very dangerous place. I'm probably going to have to go and move it because, as you can see, I nearly drove over it. I managed to scoot around. But these tortoises and terrapins, they dig into the ground where they then will deposit their eggs. So it's probably a mama who's got some eggs to deposit into the ground. Most certainly laying eggs, Bob, most certainly. And the process of digging is very, very difficult. It takes some time, and they dig a little bit and then take a breather, and dig a little bit, then take a breather. So the laying of the egg part is still coming. Here you can see the back legs busy kicking, and the front legs are pulling soil out the front. I think, it's definitely got its head in the hole. So interesting. I'm not 100% sure what species it is. It's definitely a chelonian, which basically means it has a shell surrounding its body for protection, and that is because they walk very, very slowly. They've got their home and they've got their armor on them, and if anything tries to eat them, they just tuck themselves up inside, and well, you don't need to be very fast if you can hide inside. Rashida, you want to know which animal's got the longest claws? Well, probably a tiger, I suppose, or a pangolin. Pangolins got pretty long claws for their body size. Aardvark has got pretty long claws as well for their body size. But, wow, polar bear. There we go. I'm going to go with the polar bear. Polar bear or a grizzly bear has probably got the longest claws for an animal. But then for body size, they are very big animals. If you think about a pangolin, the pangolin's got enormous, it's almost like an armadillo. They've got enormous claws, which are designed for digging and for finding out termites and things in burrows. But these little tortoises and terrapins have also got claws, which they use for digging, but very, very slowly. And, well, we've got a ranger with us. We're probably going to try and move this terrapin tortoise, because otherwise, well, he's just going to get squashed with the car, isn't he? Normally out in the wilderness, you don't touch animals. You leave them alone, especially tortoises. You don't touch them because, well, they generally will get rid of water that they've been storing inside. And an animal like that takes a very long time to get anywhere. Well, you can't let them shedding their water bladder, can you? Okay, well, it's not only terrapins and tortoises blocking the pathway. James is having equal traffic troubles down in Juma.
Hello everybody, I just quickly want to get on the radio. There is no standby for the sighting, there's only one station there. You're welcome to make your way. So we're sitting with a young bull here. One of the two that was having a fight with another young bull, and now that other young bull is walking away while this chap shows us how amazingly strong he is with his stick. Now he is ashamed of himself and he is walking away. He's showing us how very strong he is by walking over a guawi bush and then rubbing his large bottom on it. The other guy, I think, is probably more intellectually inclined, and he's looking... Oh, here we go. Big fight. You know, as children, of course, you're always told not to fight with sticks. And I wonder if the matriarchs and mothers in these herds tell the young bulls not to fight with tusks, for the same reason that we're told not to fight with sticks. They could poke each other's eyes out quite easily. Can you imagine how sensitive your front teeth are, your incisors? Imagine bashing them up against friends when you were having a fight. I suppose, well, we sometimes do that anyway when we're not having a fight, but you can imagine trying to fight with your incisor teeth. It would be a disaster, especially if you didn't have a dentist, yeah? Right, let's carry on. We left our leopard because we couldn't see him anymore in the bushes. Joy, I don't think that they dislike each other. I think all it is a little bit of sort of rambunctious wrestling, if you like. You know, like young male humans or want to do. They like to have a little bit of wrestling from time to time, and I think that's just what these chaps are doing. They're doing it again. Let me just get next to them. He's a very strong fellow. He's showing us how strong he is. Again, he's now going to pick up a bush. I think he wants to get away from us though a little bit. Here we go, that guarri bush is going to take a pounding now. He might be just experiencing the first sort of flushes, if you like, of what we call must. See, you can break another bush. Must is when the bulls start to grow up, basically, and they can feel rather frustrated. Again, a little bit like human men growing up. There they go. I don't think we'll follow them from here. I think we'll let them go, and we'll go and see if we can't find one or two more birds before we have to forget about birding big day. In the meantime, let's go back up to the Vorv in the Masai Mara, and we'll see what he's going to find you. I think I'll probably pop to another waterhole and then maybe go back and see if we can see the leopard.
Come back. Well, I had to get out quickly and grab that terrapin. It was indeed a terrapin. It was probably a marsh terrapin. It was digging in the road so that it could lay its eggs, but I pulled it out, went and put it nicely in the bushes, and hopefully it will manage to do so again. If we left it in the road, well, poor thing, would probably get squashed. But marsh terrapin, this is the marsh over here. If we look over to our right-hand side, and just to finish on some birding sort of information, when you're looking for birds, quite often in a bird book, they'll give you the description of where the bird will be and the different habitats. So here you can see we've got nice grassy open habitats, and then over to the right over there you can see the thickets, much more sort of vegetated. So different birds will use different sort of areas for nesting, for feeding, for living, for doing their thing. So if you know where to look for the birds, well, then you'll be able to find exactly what you're looking for. But boys and girls, it has been an absolutely marvelous afternoon. Thank you for joining us once again on the Nat Geo Kids. I know James loved it down in Juma, showing you the elephants. Unfortunately, David was a little bit late coming out, but he came out with a bomb. And from myself, we've had a great time. I hope to see you again next Saturday. Have a beautiful day, and we'll see you then. Good night.